Me.
Okay.
There is no okay. Oh, she's screaming already. What is shaking? I blew out my throat. Episode 142, Golden
Wow.
Mike live on this Good Friday. You know why there's been 142 of these episodes? Do,
Yeah, that's crazy.
do
And
you
you
know?
haven't lost your voice yet.
I have now. But do you know why there's been 142 of these?
No, because
Be-
yeah,
because no
I
one
guess.
can cancel me. No one can cancel me. I produced the show, Sophie.
Yeah.
Didn't they teach you that at IPEC? I produced the show. Episode 142. We got a good one today on this Good Friday. This is awesome. This is awesome. How can you actually create empowered children and empowered parents? It seems like in this Western system, it's either one or the other wins and the other one loses. How can you
Mhm.
create a win-win situation for having emotionally secure, resilient, happy kids and also some kick-ass parents at the same time? Our guest today is gonna talk just that. She's pediatric nurse. What haven't you done? Pediatric nurse, empowerment coach for kids. She also works with parents when it comes to empowerment. Um, is your book done?
No, I'm writing it. I'm
Okay,
in the process. Yeah, yeah.
working on a book. I'm gonna name it right off the bat. If you look in the show notes, there's two programs that we'll probably be talking about in a while. The first one is the Danish Way of Parenting. The other one is called the Excelsior program. That's more for kids. I can't wait to hear about this. But welcome to the Golden Mike,
Thank you.
Sofie Berga. How are you today, Sophie?
I'm great. It's a little stormy in Florida today, but you know that, right?
It is a little stormy here in Florida. I got the light beacon on just in case I
But
get washed away. Like you and I have been going back and forth from different parts of the country, like
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
following each other, like
I know.
from California to Florida. I've never been in Danish part of the world, so like not that. And you're about to move again, right?
Yeah, I'm moving in June to Denmark.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be going back and forth probably from Denmark to the States.
Okay, right
Hold
on.
on. Yeah,
Right
yeah.
on, right on, right on. So, for those of you who haven't met me yet, or those of you who are from the Berga camp watching, we will get to Berga's story in a second. But first, my name is Mark Cordone. I am the founder of the Make Money Coaching Program, which relaunches again May 6th. It's super cool. We have a
Woo!
PR expert, a networking expert. We got Russell Brunson's funnel coach in it. We got a lot of fun things that we're going to be doing with that May 6th. Also, the chief disruptive officer of the Joy Revolution, which restarts May 26th. May is a big month for me, so that's why I've done so many of these damn things, these damn shows. More importantly, on a regular basis, I guess get to ask my guests, I get to ask my clients, I get to ask myself two major questions as a positive psychology coach. First one's this: how happy are you today? And second
I
one is,
am.
oh,
Oh, go ahead.
okay.
I thought you were asking. Go ahead.
And then the
What else?
second, you're just busting at the seams, Sophie, ready to answer. The second one is how much are you living in your purpose and meaning, Sophie, I want to know how happy are you today, and how much are you living in your purpose and meaning?
Oh, very much. I live a lot in my purpose and meaning. Enough to, where it gets to that little bit of a fear.
Yeah,
You're living in a lot of fear.
yeah,
When it's right around to burst, I'm just launching my program, and that's when I'm like, I have to do a lot of meditation and a
yep.
lot of positive self-talk.
Now, has it always been like that for you? Like where you've been super high on purpose and super high on happiness?
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't always know about the Danish way of parenting,
Uh huh.
and it's very much about raising how to raise happy, resilient kids, right, with a good self-esteem. And I sort of came across the book. Can you still hear me? Because I can't see you very well.
Yeah, I
Uh-oh.
can totally, I
Oh,
can
okay,
totally hear
good,
you.
good. Okay, so uh, I came across the
Danish.
book, and then I realized, oh my God, when I was in high school, when people would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I just said, I want to be happy. So then now I realize I've been through all this a lot of hard things, right? Everything is relative, of course,
Yeah.
but and coming out on the other end and learning really to be, happy regardless. And now I'm finding that like the direct line for kids, I kind of looking at the Danish Way of Parenting and just, studying teens and, reading all these parenting books and all of this, I've kind of seen a straight line from not encouraging resilience in kids enough to where they have more stress and anxiety today. So the helicopter parenting of not really letting them free play to learn their comfort zone, the proximal zone of development, it's called, and also not challenging themselves enough all the time and learning to be in that fear and getting resilient from that. And I really think that, and then you start trusting external things to make you happy instead of, feeling happy and resilient inside, regardless of what's going on around you. And I really see that in young people and in kids a lot today.
That's really resounding with me today, and especially with what's going on in the news with some of the offspring of some celebrities that are getting right into college, and they're not even having, allegedly, they're not even taking like the entrance exams. I mean, are you seeing a change in terms of the way that parenting is happening? I mean, it's one thing to be a helicopter parent, but I was like, that's like extreme helicopter parenting where you're not even like, you don't even have to take your entrance exam.
I think both my kids are older, right? So I have a 20-year-old son that's actually studying in Denmark now, and a 14-year-old now. She just turned 15-year-old daughter here. Mm-hmm. And I really talk to them a lot about, and they come home and tell me about their friends, and what's going on with their friends.
Yeah.
And it is very much, I see parenting being very fear-based, people wanting to over-control their kids. They're not really trusting their kids to know for themselves what is right for them. And because they feel like they should just, sort of, here is the path that I see for you, that where you can be safe and happy in life, and this is what you need to follow. And it's not, it just creates the opposite. It creates kids that don't trust their own guidance and get confused, and unhappy, really.
Yeah, totally. Sophie, I'm already feeling it. You're on fire today. I want to address the folks watching live or watching on the my throat is still blown out from today. or watching on the replay. If you're feeling like Sophie, you're feeling that you're living with a tremendous amount of happiness and a tremendous amount of meaning, well, let us know that. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Hit that heart button. Let us know you're alive on this Friday. Make a heart for me, Sophie. Make a heart for me.
Okay.
That
like
was
this.
Oh, okay. You made a circle. Love it. But now here's the thing. A lot of people think that positive psychology is shits and giggles 24/7. Taco Tuesday every day. You're happy 24/7. And one of my mentors, Tal Ben Shahar, says it this way: if you're happy 24/7, you're either dead or you're a sociopath. Life is about the ups and the downs and the all-arounds of life. So if you're sitting here on this Good Friday and you're like, Sophie, Mark, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not happy today. That's cool. That's part of your journey, right? Or if you're saying to yourself, you know what? I've been a parent, that gave me meaning. I worked in a hospital for 30 years, that gave me meaning. But something's off. I can't tell you what it is, but like life isn't as meaningful. It's changing. Yeah, it's meant to change. Your purpose is meant to change. So just give us a thumbs up. Let us entertain you today and let it wash over you, because life is about all those ups, downs, and all arounds. Now, before we get to Sophie's story, the final thing is this. There's another button down there for you watching live or on the replay. This is called the wow face button, Sophie. Sophie's laughing. She's like, what the hell did I get myself into? This is called the wow face. You can hit it down there. And the thing about the wow face is that it represents hope. it represents optimism. Whether you're a 1 in your happiness or you're a 10, whether you're a 1 in your purpose or a 10, if you feel like today can be created as the best day of your life, that's called optimism. And it has the power even stronger than emotional intelligence and IQ. So if you have hope today, I want you to hit that wow face right now. Hit the wow face right now, and Sophie's gonna show you what the wow face looks like. Show us the. I love it, Sophie. You're the best. You're such a good sport. I love it. You're like, I'm leaving the country anyways. I don't give a shit. No one's gonna see this. Sophie, I want to start with you.
Your energy is, infectious. So.
We all learned that at IPAC. Yours is too. Text 1 to no one. So, I want to start with you. Your story. What's your story, Sophie?
Oh, well, I grew up in Denmark.
Yeah.
2 special ed, teachers as parents. So what we discussed around the dinner table was mostly, how do you become what you become, really. And so I grew up in an environment where there wasn't as much judgment around people that was having a hard time.
Now, was it because of the culture of Denmark, or was it because of the style of your parents?
I think it's both.
Okay.
Danish kids grow up with they learn a lot of empathy, really.
Okay.
And in my I've later learned in my family that we have a different understanding of kids, so I feel like I can intuitively really understand where kids are in their soul, almost, what they need, and I didn't always know that, and I think that's from my family. But the empathy part is very largely in Denmark, and that's Danish Way of Parenting as well.
So we go from empathy to, you're learning about empathy, to coming to the United States, and did you come to the United States to be a pediatric nurse?
Well, so I met my ex-husband, the father of my kids, in Thailand riding elephants. So, 10 years later, so then we lived in Australia and in
amazing,
and in Florida as well, and then of course California, and then I left when we had met. My kids were, what were they, 7 and 2? That was really hard.
Now, is he Danish as well?
No, he's American.
Okay.
So his family was in, some of it was in Fresno, California.
Okay.
And so that's where we were when we split up. So I was in Fresno for 10 years. I didn't really want to be there. It was a good place, in regards to raising kids, because there's a lot of family activities there, but it's not very fun to be single. It's not, there's not a lot of cultural stuff going on necessarily. So
when I think Fresno, I think like college town.
Yeah, I guess it's actually very much family town too.
Okay.
It's like every city has a theme, right? Like, so maybe LA, what's the theme for that? Achievement, success? I don't know. And I think Fresno is family. You know.
So not a lot of party bars for Sophie to go and ride the mechanical
so I
bulls.
totally stopped. Yeah. I think I stopped going out.
She's a wild child.
Like, I'm done with this.
She's like, I'm done with it. Let me ask you this: you go and you work as a pediatric nurse, right? And that was in the United States now, right?
Yeah.
Well, as someone who was raised with Danish values in parenting, how did that compare or contrast when you were interacting with the kids and their families?
I think I had a very different approach to the kids. I loved the part of my job where I could, get down on my knees and play with a stethoscope with a kid,
Yeah.
And I would have some of the doctors, even from the ER I worked at, they would call me and say, look at this kid when I put the stethoscope in, and the kid goes like this and then like this. And, they would call me from the other side of the ER just to watch this little episode, right? So I had this, really appreciation for kids that were a little different. And since then also wrote the 5 picture books to prepare kids for medical procedures. That has that little bit of a different approach, or at least, from the kids' point of view. I
Yeah.
learned that I very much understands what's going on in their head, from
Yeah.
the different ages. Yeah.
So,
So,
so in speaking to, in having conversations with parents,
mhm.
would you see that there would be a cultural clash in terms of the way that they viewed, like, American parents would view things versus you would view things, or ways of handling situations?
Yeah, for sure. I think the main difference I've learned, and I didn't know it at the time, but now when I look back, I can see that in Denmark, I think we very much grow up, or our view of kids is that we think that they are already born perfect, and all we have to do is just kind of hold them and nurture them and guide them. Whereas here, there's a little bit more of an idea that if we fail to shape them in the right way, they're going to be bad people, or something is going to go wrong.
Ah,
And
that's quite a difference in terms of approach.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and tell me, the people that are listening, if I'm wrong, but I'm
Yeah.
I'm really that's kind of, and of course that creates a feeling of that you have to stay on top of your parenting all the time, and then it becomes a little bit more fear based in a way of you're afraid you're going to do things wrong for your kids, and then
That's really interesting. Yeah.
you kind of overdo, and instead of just letting be.
Yeah,
Um,
without getting it into any like major drama, but did you notice that there were differences in the way that you and your ex-husband raised your kids? Like,
yeah,
was it very much like that as well?
yeah.
Okay.
It we didn't have, I think he appreciated the way I did things, but there was some differences at times.
Sure.
That's not why we split
Sure.
up, but
Sure.
it was, there was definitely differences. There was when you see little 2 or 3 year old, for example, in the supermarket in Denmark running around screaming, nobody even lifts an eyebrow, right? Because that's pretty normal for a 2 or 3 year old. Like, especially if they just had a cookie like they do in Save Mart, for example. So um, but here, people are a little bit more, I think there's more bigger tendency to wanting kids to sort of behave to a certain standard. And I grew up viewing kids as, well, what's normal for the age right now. So for my teenagers, if my daughter falls in and she just mumbles something really, and then she goes in her room and closes the door, then I just kind of laugh a little bit to myself, and I think, oh well, she just had a bad day.
Just
I'm
had a
not
bad
gonna
day.
storm in and say you need to be respectful and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Because she's just 15.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
I like how that I like how you put sort of everything context space, right? Like it's, like it's a 2-year-old. What do you expect? It's a 2-year-old
right.
in a store, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Walter Aguilar is tuning in right now from Canada. We
Oh,
have an
cool.
IPEC trifecta right here. Um,
Nice.
Trust allows parents to come from a perspective of influence. When parents fear, they have the need to control. And then Veronica cites, we see Veronica is just giving you a big old heart right now. She's giving you
Oh,
some major love right now.
Veronica.
So,
Fun.
so keep it coming, y'all. And Donna Ray, we see you as well. They gave you a big old wow face, by the way, Sophie. So the wow face worked. Now I want to know
Nice.
this. I want to know this. So it sounds like you were doing really well in your job
Mhm.
as a nurse. Why change?
I don't believe, bottom line, I don't really believe the way we do medicine. I don't believe in it anymore. We do sick care. We do sick care, not health care.
Mm,
So I can't walk around and hand out endless medications and do all these things that I don't believe in anymore.
hmm.
And I just I started on the whole coaching certification journey to get um, actually, I came up with this concept with a Danish friend that we wanted to start summer camps for kids to help them kind of get out of high school and create their own box, so to speak, to pursue, right?
Yep.
Their own play environment, so to
Yep.
speak. Instead of saying, okay, I can be a nurse, a librarian, a doctor, blah, 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 blah. These are the boxes you can fit into, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to help them create their own box and really, discover who they are, put all the things together, and help them with a career. If they were to open a business, that's great. If it were to go to nursing school or whatever, that's great too. But they need to have some better options, and I also teach them about business energetics, because that's like the new sort of paradigm we're in right now, right? It's a new
I've heard of
thing.
business energetics.
Yeah, you have.
So I love this idea of sick care, not health, not healthcare. That's one of the, I don't know if you know this, but I used to be in healthcare as well.
No, I didn't know that.
And I I moved to happiness because it was more along the lines of what the World Health Organization said. Just because there is a lack of illness doesn't mean there's a presence of wellness. And
Yeah.
like in everything that I saw happening in healthcare, I saw them just doing a lack of illness. As long as they're not sick, they're not in the hospital, we're cool, right? And I wasn't for that. Now, for you, you wanted to continue working with parents, or especially students, right? And that's where you found coaching, right?
Yeah. So I went into coaching to actually get credentials to start my summer camps. And then I discovered, oh my God, I love coaching too. So I'm just kind of adding to all the things that I want to do. But I'm still going to create summer camps. They're going to be in Denmark because I have a little bit more connections. I want to bring them to the States at one point if there's a need for it at that time. But right now, I'm starting with the Excelsior program for the American kids. Even though I'm moving, I can still do that because it's a virtual program for them.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Excelsior program in a second. I'm
Yeah.
still curious about sort of your philosophy or your pillars on raising happy, resilient, and confident kids. Like, are there specific things that as a part of the resilient, or not the resilient, as a part of the Excelsior program, that you want to build into these kids? Like, what are those pillars?
I think very much emotional intelligence is
Okay.
missing. Emotional and social learning for kids, especially also now with, I'm just reading a book right now. It's called Teen Suicide, very dark subject, but he's Jeff Yalden. He's on social media as well, and he, is going around to different schools after they've had suicides and talks to the kids there, and he's basically also saying that social and emotional learning is hugely lacking in the kids' lives, and they just want to be seen and heard. And in regards to all the suicides that are happening, the teachers in the school don't know, because it's always quiet kids, and it's not the kids that are acting out,
Yeah.
So that's a whole side note, but yeah.
Okay.
I forgot what you were asking me now.
No. We went there for a second. I was like, wow. But no, I think we were talking about emotional intelligence.
Yes, yeah. So I am going, in the Excelsior program, I am teaching the kids emotional intelligence, or we talk about emotions. We go into, that it's okay to have the whole wide range of emotions. How do we show up with our emotions? How do we help others show up, with their emotions? How do we accept all of the full range of emotions? So I do work with them on that. We talk about social media as well, of course, but it is a huge thing right now, especially with the social media, and kids just, it's like it's a bad, circle where they feel lonely, and then they're on social media more, and then they get more lonely, and then it just continues.
It's huge. I know that there's been multiple studies that have been based on this, in which if someone who's has proclivities towards depression get on social media, the depression gets worse
Hmm.
because especially if the person is seeing social media and is believing what they're reading,
Hmm.
like 99% of the people on social media are also having their crappy days too, but they just
Right.
post the one part of their day that went well. And
Yeah.
so a child or an adolescent will tend to think, well, everyone's happy except for me.
Right.
Comparison
Right.
trap, you start plummeting, right?
Yeah.
um,
Plus the
so
whole dopamine effect of wanting more likes, and if you don't get it, then
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Whoever this Veronica Seitz is loves you. She's saying, Sophie, this
Hi,
is
Veronica.
awesome. This is Sophie. This is awesome. Loves you. Kids need resiliency skills. Social, emotional skills are essential. Oh,
Yes.
there's a little bit of reverb. Is it coming from me or is it coming from Sophie? Let us know and I'll adjust that. What are some other pillars that what are some other pillars that you see us being able to use to raise happy, resilient kids nowadays that we might be missing? I mean, emotional intelligence. I think that's one of them because if you go to a school, they call it a soft skill, right?
Okay. Yeah.
What's something else that you see?
Well, try to avoid labeling and, managing your child's emotional life. Try not to tell your kids, don't feel this way or feel this way instead. Or, I think a lot of parents actually, but it starts with being comfortable with with your own emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can be more comfortable sitting with your child, and it's like what Brene Brown talks about, just sitting with your child in their discomfort and not wanting to, needing to fix it for them right away, but just being with them with it, and just acknowledging and basically being an emotion coach, right?
Yeah.
Acknowledging and validating the emotions, being curious, and of course, you know, not label helping them label their emotions, but not for you to label them. So one of the things that are very important with kids is that we speak to their behavior and not their. So don't call them lazy. They're being less efforting or being lazy right now. They're not a lazy person. So that's actually labeling them, which they can't change when they're being called names like that. And we sometimes do it just because it was done to us. So
That
our parents did it to us, and we don't think it's a big deal, but it's really it's something that they can't change. And then kids, if it's done a lot, they actually start trying to live up to, okay, I'm lazy, I'm just going to be
they
more
become,
lazy.
yeah, they become the
Yeah,
caricature that they've been called. Veronica,
exactly.
I hope that this is helping a little bit. The sound is a little bit better. Just tell me and I'll keep adjusting. One of the things that I think is um, really crucial in that whole piece on labeling somebody is it's been shown neuroscience wise that if you because people don't know how to at an earlier age um, talk about their emotion. They just don't have words for it yet. They're not at the capacity yet. If you start labeling them, then they take on the label and it stays with them for a long period of time.
Yeah.
When we were in a coaching program together, this was they called this our gremlins, right? Because you're
Hmm.
still you still feel like a 5 year old when this thing is yapping in your ear telling you that you're lazy, and it keeps you
Hmm.
from playing small. So I think that that's super cool. Thank you for helping me adjust the sound. Walter's talking about emotional agility,
Hmm.
learning that it is okay to have emotions, but we are
Hmm.
not supposed to stay there. How do you think? How do you feel about that, Sophie?
um so he's saying that we're not, that it's okay to learn to have them emotions, but to teach them to move through the emotions, the bad
I
emotions,
think that
and
I
not
think
hang
that's what
on to
Walter's
them.
saying. Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
like not to
I
ruminate.
think honestly, so when I volunteered in the coaching program as well, it's I usually tell the students there as well as kids that just the whole fact of acknowledging and validating somebody's feelings makes takes away the emotional charge of that bad feeling to where they automatically can move out of it.
It just is, right? It
Yeah,
just is.
I don't think that you necessarily just have to be with your kids, spend time with them. And it's funny because I know I've done all the Tony Robbins programs, and Tony Robbins is a big like, oh, you can just create the magical moments with your kids. And I'm like, and I really tried, Mark, for a long time.
Did you do that
And
before or after you walked across the hot coals for Tony?
I know that was in the beginning of my Tony experience, but I don't believe that we can just get to pick and choose our magical moments. Yes, we can create magical moments too, but with kids, it's important to be available when they, come home and having a bad day or need to talk. That's not something that can be on my planner, and that's why being a single parent entrepreneur is, or even a parent entrepreneur in general with smaller kids, is it just takes a little bit longer sometimes because you have to have a more flexible schedule.
That's awesome. Talk a little bit about being a parent entrepreneur, and right now, I don't know exactly where you're at. I just know that you're divorced.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna use the broad term, a single parent entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Talk about what
Yeah.
that's been like.
Um, well, I mean, I went through the whole trying to push and wanting to do all these things. And then I felt the pull for my kids and
Yeah,
wanting to be there for them. And now, a couple of years ago, I finally realized that's bullshit. I want them to be there. I want to be there for them. So they're included in my goals.
yeah,
I used to say, well, what do I want to really experience this year with my kids or this month with my kids? Before, now that they're this age, what's important for me? What's important for me to teach them? What's some experiences I want to give them? What do I want to experience with them? And that's, on the same priority list as all the other goals I have for my business. You know.
did you ever feel a little bit of guilt or a little bit of shame in putting so much energy into your business and being like,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
okay, okay, because
yeah.
I know a lot of, so I went through it myself as a single
Hmm.
parent. How did you get through that?
Um, I think I think it's just realizing that, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Yeah, yeah.
And that I have all these amazing years now where my kids don't really care about me anymore.
well,
So
I think Walt uses a little better term. He says, "You created space. You created the space for to allow yourself to be able to do this. To start your own business." But I think a lot of people who are watching are parents and entrepreneurs themselves, and it just went into a random place that I think it was worthy of you giving your 2 cents on. So yeah,
mhm,
I,
yeah.
I want to go back for a second, and I want to talk about parenting myths now. Like
Yes.
parenting myths that we think are good for our children, but actually in the long term, it could result in us preventing ourselves from deliberately raising powerful children.
Yeah. So you wanted me to mention some of those myths? Let me see if I
I'd
can
love for
remember
you
them.
to,
Did I
especially
write
since
it?
you put in the show notes.
Read some of them to me, Mark.
You didn't. You didn't put any. You just
Damn
said,
it.
"People, let
No,
this
I
be a
think
lesson. When you make the
uh,
show notes, Mark will read from them."
sorry. No. I don't know. I can probably come up with some, but really it's about, you don't know what's good for you, some of that, or it's just all about wanting to sort of direct your kids into a certain path instead of just letting them be, themselves.
Were, was it
Um,
was there ever a time in the way that you were raising your kids that you found yourself like trying to steer and direct and have an agenda for them?
oh yeah.
Oh, really?
I
Was it
mean,
when they were younger or older?
I think, I mean, I have constantly episodes of, where I realize, oh, wait a minute, and I get more and more aware, every day, pretty much. I mean, just my daughter, um, you know, I can mention an example with my daughter sitting here, a typical teenager watching a lot of TV, right?
Yeah.
And I come home and it flies out of my mouth. Well, shouldn't you be doing something else or something like that, and then as soon as I said, I thought, oh, saying this. And so instead, I kind of backtracked a little bit and I told her, and I thought about what is it that I really want to convey in this situation. And really, it is, I know that you're finding the fastest path to happiness, which is really about manifestation, right? When you can find the fastest path to the fast track to happiness, then you can manifest things faster. And that's what I want to teach my kids. And she's finding the fastest path to happiness. She's laughing over a TV show, right? That's what she's doing. But
Amazing.
my what I wanted to see was that she gets more and more tools to find a faster way to happiness, and just instead of just watching TV. Because if she only watches TV, that can have some different effects.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
so I told her that. I said, I just really would love for you to find some more ways. I know that this makes you happy right now, but is there any way that you can find some other ways to make, that can make you happy? And within the following week, she wanted a camera for her birthday, and she was requesting some other things, and she was
Right
she was
on.
actually wanting a book, and she never wanted to read, or she started writing in a journal and stuff like that without me telling her to, and that's something I actually always secretly wanted her to do,
Yeah,
but
very
I,
cool.
you
Very
know,
cool.
so I kind of came in the back door that way.
Very
Yeah.
cool. So
So that
so oh, sorry.
so it is, and also impulse, and stop daydreaming. That's another myth. Daydreaming is actually really good for creating innovative leaders, right? Because
I
you
love
have to
it.
be able to, I'm really bad at daydreaming. I'm super good at being realistic and total, to iPad coaches out there. I'm level 5-3. So being a single mom with a business owner for a long time, I can make just about anything happen realistically and all this stuff. But I really have to train my brain to be unrealistic and daydreaming. And so that's something I would encourage everybody to let their kids daydream and really daydream with them.
That's really amazing, Sophie. I want to know, a 20-year-old son, right? 14-year-old daughter. What's the
Mm-hmm.
most proud moment you've had as a parent?
Ooh. Um, I don't know. I always feel like, ooh, I have to think of one situation. But
Wow face.
yeah, ooh. um, it's always has to do with their empathy for other kids, for
Yeah.
sure. You know, one proud situation was with my son, actually. So one way that one thing that I've done to, made help my kids be resilient to bullying was to actually teach them empathy in regards to bullies. So I would always tell them, if anybody is being nasty to you, it's really about them and how they feel inside, because anybody feeling super good about themselves are not going to walk around and nag on other people and being mean to other people.
Mm.
So that is not about you. If they're mean to you, it's about them and how badly they feel they might have problems at home. So when my son was in high school, right? he came home one day and he told me, "Yeah, Mom, there's this guy that was saying something really mean to me," and I turned around and I said, "You must have a really hard time at home." And the guy was just totally, disarmed. He didn't know what to say.
He's totally disarmed.
Yeah. And I told my son, "Wow, you really listened to me all those years?" He's like, "Yeah, Mom."
It's amazing.
So
That's
yeah, I
amazing.
guess that's an example. I was very proud of him then.
That's also and what better way to pivot and talk about the Excelsior program that you're starting. People have already asked for it, the link in the watch
Oh,
party.
nice.
So I already pasted it in there. I
Cool.
pasted the link for the Danish Way of Parenting, the Excelsior program, and also Sophie's website, as well as Sophie's email address. But why don't you tell us a little bit about the Excelsior program?
Well, I mean, it really came to be because I was really tired of, I kind of feel like that there is no sort of social network catching kids that are just walking around feeling like they don't belong, like they're lonely, nobody understands them, with low self-esteem, and they don't really belong with a therapist. And so I kind of wanted to create like a social network kind of program that could give them a sense of tribe and also teach them a lot of life skills and, give them some self-esteem. So that's really how it came to be. And so it's a virtual program where they are 5 to 6 teens, 13 to 16-year-old, and I'll try to, as we get going, try to, of course, group them in the same age bracket, but where they are together and we meet weekly for 4 months, and I teach them all kinds of different things, and we talk about some of the things we've talked about here, but also values. I teach them tapping. Do you know what tapping is? Yeah. Yeah. So there's a tapping for self-confidence.
Amazing.
We talk about, there's a lot of different things, but the workbook just came together. But the main thing I want people to know is if they have teens that are walking around and they can't really, because the painful thing for a parent is that we can't talk to our teens anymore. We kind of get, "Oh no, not you. I don't want to hear what you have to say anymore." And I don't think you're there yet, Mark, right? How old is your son?
He's 6, going on 90.
Yeah.
So he's like,
of course,
he's dropping wisdom bombs on me all the time.
Write them down.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
but anyway, yeah. So
so I had to ask this: are you teaching universal law and and manifestation to these kids? Because like tapping's pretty deep, man.
Yeah, I know. But really, it's just, saying affirmations, right? And kind of softening up our beliefs about certain things.
Yeah.
And it's something that can apply, and just tapping the energy centers on the body. So, I mean, yeah, it is pretty woo, but it's not more woo than that, I do actually have the oath of manifestation in the workbook as well. So there is a little bit of woo in there.
I sensed it a little bit. No, but I think that was cool. I think that's cool that you're putting it in there, because oftentimes our parents and unconsciously will want us to self-limit ourselves and not teach us some of the universal law and stuff. I'm not saying universal law is the answer to everything, but it is a great way to look at the alternative to the status quo. And that's what I love about it. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm also
going up?
I'm sorry?
When is the next one going up? When are we doing our next Excelsior program here?
Well, it's continuous in a continuous basis. So basically, people just can go on the website, theexcelsiorprogram.com, and schedule talk with me. If they have any questions for me, if they just want me to talk to their teen, because I do need to talk to the teens to see if they're actually sort of mature enough and if they're motivated, because I don't want their parents to spend money on a program that they're not really motivated to do. And I do have a video for the teens. If you want me to send the parents, if parents want me to send them a little video to kind of help explain it to their teen, before they schedule a call with me. They
Amazing,
can.
amazing.
So yeah, it's a continuous basis. So at any time, let me know. I'm scheduling all kinds of different ads now too. So we're really
Nice.
gonna
Look
get
at you. Look
going.
at
And
you.
then if you are a parent signing up, I will send you the Danish Way of Parenting webinar as well, just to kind of give you a little insight into how the happiest country in the world parent kids.
It is the happiest
Yeah.
country in the world. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's an ongoing program, Danish Way of Parenting for the parents. The Excelsior program. It's an online program that's going on an ongoing basis for teens, young adults, probably 13 and up, right?
16. So
13 and
13 to
up.
16. Yeah.
um Walt is throwing in there. This sounds like a much needed option for parents of teens. So you're getting a great viewership here in the watch
Yeah.
party. Watch party. I'm
Perfect.
saying hi to you all today. I hope you're having a good, happy Friday. Don't log off yet because I want you to forward this one out. I want you to forward this out if any of this resonated with you. There's a lot of parents on social media, and actually, there's a lot of parents that are off today because of Good Friday. So like, forward them this. Let them watch this. We're gonna have Sophie back. We're gonna have you back, Sophie, when the book is written. All right. Um,
Yes.
and but this is for now. This is what we're gonna do. Thank you for forwarding that. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do an IPEC visioning activity. I don't think this is approved by Bruce D. Schneider, but I want you to imagine, if you will, a golden mic is now coming down from your ceiling over there in Sarasota, right?
Uh-huh.
And this golden mic is coming to rest in front of you. And the thing is about this golden mic is that it has the power to translate into every language all across the world. Which means this, Sophie, all sentient beings are listening to the message that you're about to
Sentient people.
they're listening to the message that you're about to convey to us. Sofie Berga, your golden mic is live now.
Wow. Um, Trust your kids. Trust that they know. They know why came here, what they came here to do, what they came here to be, and just allow them to be that. Be curious with them. They will blow your socks off if you let them. And yeah, that's really the main thing. And if you can't talk to your teen, send them to me. Basically, yeah.
Might as well do a plug in front of the entire world. I like it. I love it. You got some moxie. Sophie, I want you to hold that golden mic. I want you to feel the weight of what you just spoke into because we're going to pass that to somebody on Monday. But before then, I want you to just hold that mic out like this. Feel that weight. Now I want you to throw that golden mic on the ground and smash it. I want you to smash stomp on that golden mic, Sophie. I met you. I love you so much already. You are the best. If there's anything that I can do, I'm right up the bay.
Yes.
If there's anything that I can help out with, just call me. Let me know. I'm happy to help. This is something in particular. Teens are a particular group that I love working with. But more important, it's Friday, which means Sophie and I are going to do this. We're going to shut off our golden mics. We're going to shut off our camera and we're going to spend time with the people that matter in the real world.
Yeah.
We do social media for social good, but now it's time to turn it off. Yeah. I'll be back with you guys again on Monday. But before I leave, Sophie and I have a question for you. Remember to send this out. But we have a question for you. If you're feeling happy and you're living life to its full meaning and purpose, what is your responsibility to changing history for the better? I'm Mark Cordone, Sofie Berga, episode 142. You cannot cancel me. Good night.
Oh, I love